Thanks for tuning in to the Mission Matters podcast, where we feature successful, mission-driven leaders committed to creating a positive change in the world. Our mission with this channel is to inspire other leaders by providing industry insights, new ideas, and inspiring stories from the pros.
All right, welcome. I'm Paul Fyth, host of this show where I talk with leaders heading up mission-focused organizations, leading from the heart. My heart's over here, sorry. Inspiring others, making a difference in our communities. This episode is sponsored by Paul Gregory Media. You know them. I talk about them every show. Affectionately known as PGM, also a certified B Corporation. To learn more about what a B Corporation is, B stands for benefits, by the way, and to learn more about what Paul Gregory Media does, devoted to nonprofits, go to paulgregorymedia.com. I wish I had a bell when I said that. Have with us here Alice Sima. She is the board president of Friends of Imiliwaha. It turns out I said that name for the first time right, so I'm going to give myself a point for that. Welcome, Alice. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite, and I'm happy to be here.
I cannot wait to dive in because this is something that's so far from my circle of familiarity, but you are the board president of Friends of Imiliwaha Group, and you are actually the former director of an organization that's near and dear to me, which is the Benedictine University. You were the former director of pre-professional health programs there.
Correct.
And so you're involved now with supporting the Sisters of Tanzania. I think the sisters came in 2010, you said, who received some of their education in the U.S. They're BenU graduates and have gone on to do great things in their country of, is it Africa or is it South Africa? I know it's on
It's Tanzania. Tanzania is a part of the country that is a part of Africa.
Okay.
So it's geographically right there and the main area off by the ocean is Dar es Salaam. And then it goes like a longer strip through, and that's where Imiliwaha is, and Sumbawanga and Kilimahiwa, the schools and things. So
if you looked at Africa, the continent, you're pretty much kind of mid-eastern seaboard.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So not as far as just the South African country.
Correct.
Okay. So who is Alice Sima? I would love to know your journey. What led you to, before the Benedictine days, but what led you to Benedictine and the career of education? And then finally, what led you to the Sisters of Tanzania?
I am an alum of Benedictine University, but I go way back in the beginning when I was a young mother, went to school to become a nurse. So I am a registered nurse with a master's in nursing, and I had worked on getting my bachelor's from Benedictine, then my master's from Lewis, and kept going. And then I got involved with being at Benedictine so that we had a program of working with pre-professional students. And we were very known, and we are still known for that, and I worked with students looking to go to medical school, dental school, PT, OT, PA, everything you talk about in professional healthcare careers. And I had done that for over 35 years before I retired, and found that my nursing was a great advantage when you're working in healthcare and trying to guide young people to go into healthcare as a career. So I then went on to retirement, but before I retired, I met these two wonderful ladies that came from Tanzania, Africa, to get their education at Benedictine University. And so that's how my story gets involved, because as they were going to school and finishing their degrees, there was a group of people, of us, volunteers, that have been a part of loving the Benedictine being a part of the whole education component, and wanting to help these women to be able to get their choice and then be able to go back. But then we had to raise money, because how can they get their education? Because they come to us and stay with the Sisters, Sacred Heart over in Lisle there, and then getting the education paid for from at that time, Bill Carroll was the president of Benedictine University, and he gave his money to pay for their tuition. so that they could get their education. We had to then pay as how are we going to help them to further on their degree. As with Sister Beatrice needing to go to medical school, we needed to raise money to help to pay for these women to go on for their careers to go back. And so we established Friends of Imiliwaha, and it was purely all volunteer, and it was everybody going out and shaking the bushes around the local area and becoming very well known and raising funds to be able to pay for. And my passion comes to be able to have these sisters to go back and take care of their people, both as the doctor who is an oncologist and Sister Afra who's an educator. And it is just amazing to see what we have been able to do with different monies that we have been able to raise because, and can go on with this later if you want, but at Imiliwaha, we have established and built a surgical center. And there's on and on with that in raising the money. For the education component for over 10 years, we have raised money and helped Sister to build a school so that the children in Sumbawanga would be able to have their education and build onto the school for all the ages. Also at Imiliwaha, which is the mother convent site where they all came from, is an orphanage. So we have also been involved with the orphanages there and trying to raise funds and helping with the children. So when you talk about what is available and what we have done and how we have been able to raise money, very honestly, I will tell you, God has led us the way, and we have been able to find wonderful benefactors who have been willing to give and give and give and be able to see these things come to fruition and being able to help people and young people for an education, starting from very little, and to show the care. Because some of them are orphans, some of them have parents, but they don't always have the money to pay for tuition. So we have quite a big project.
It sounds like there's a lot of tentacles, but you have two sisters that one is a doctor and one is pretty much in the educational field. So she's the one that built the school.
Right.
And that school is from a very young age. Is it, what you would say, kindergarten, or is it before that?
Yeah, pre-K.
Pre-K.
Also.
Right. And it goes up to what grade?
It goes up to 7 in that area. And they have, and the interesting thing about the school is that all of their schools, there are 3 of them now run through Tanzania, but in Sumbawanga, and they are all taught in English. So the sisters went back and went to teach the children. So they are in their school. They come to school knowing Swahili. They are going through their education learning English.
Wow. So, I mean, it's difficult in one aspect that you're kind of all of a sudden forced into this other language and in a learning environment at the same time.
Correct. But this is what they are looking forward to doing that. I was just back there. My first actual visit was back in July of 2023. And I was able to see firsthand, starting off at Imiliwaha and then going on to Sumbawanga, celebrating 10 years of the school campus, and then going on to one more school that the sisters have also been working with. So, and all of our the trip, there were 5 of us, and we were all from the board of Friends of Imiliwaha, and all of us were paid out of pocket. Plus, we brought our money so that we could help them to pay them for taking care of us. So they would guide us. They met us at the airport. We never traveled alone, and we went from location to location to see all of these areas, working with all the sisters and to see what they have done. At Imiliwaha is the main, like I said, that's the main mother house. There is an orphanage there. There is a pre-K and a high school there. Oh. And the high school is also a sister school of academy. So they work to raise funds to help with this need at the school. Plus, it is the whole grounds where all of the sisters are living. So it's amazing to see firsthand what it's been like at Imiliwaha. We have raised money so that they had a clinic there. And it was very small. And it started off with seeing what the mattresses were like at the clinic, beds and stuff. And we would send money over to Sister to get the right kind of linens and things like that to do, so that eventually we were able to raise money and we built a surgical center. At the visit in 23, and this surgical center was just completed and done, and that had would deliver the babies, because that's one of the main things that you see so much people coming in, because it deals with all of the communities. It's a third world country, so you have different communities all around the one area, and people come to get health care and to be taken care of and to be taken with delivering healthy, safe babies and to go on. So when we were there in 23, we said, well, what we also need is to have an X-ray machine. So when the government steps in and tells us what we can and cannot do and what we have to do, they said you have to build another building because the surgical center doesn't have the thickness of the walls to put in X-ray machines. Mm. So we saw the piece of property that was there. What was there? We put the order in. We prayed a lot. We started raising some money, and we had built an X-ray building. We are now in the process of raising more money so that we have to then pay for the X-ray machines, ultrasound machine. We are looking to also acquire a mammography machine to deal with. And so this is what we're raising money for now. We have, like I said, it's a two-pronged thing, medical and education. So we have now, this is our other venture going on. So, I mean, but to see this and be a part of this and to know that within a year that we were there, then we see the new building is done and we keep getting the pictures for everything that's going done. Then we went over to Sumbawanga and we celebrated 10 years of this school compound being completed. And the government came in and the educators in that particular area to celebrate and to give Sister Afra her certification of beautiful, wonderful things to be done in giving the education for the children. Well, one of the things that they needed is because, like I said, the children do live there at the school. They needed to have a better boys' dormitory built. And it wasn't in a nice, safe enough way for the kids, for the boys especially. So while we were there for that visit, we had raised the money to have a building to be built, and we saw the stones coming in to be crushed for the foundation to start to build the boys' dormitory. In 2024, the dormitory has been built. The children have all the beds, and the boys are in a new building. So, and it goes on because education must continue. And then you have the children growing and the families sending their children because they want them to be educated. So what are some of the things you need in education? Computers. And they're being taught in English. And they have to study. They have exams that are quarterly, that are in the 4th year and 7th year education exams that are necessary from the government for them to be able to move on to higher level education. So it has been to see this, to see the children and to have them bring projects. We were sitting at a table and it was just a wonderful experience because the kids had gotten science projects. And so they came out and they stood in front of us and to share about the projects that they were learning and what they had done with different points. And then to see the excitement with these children and for us to be able to be a part of that, to see that what we've been doing has brought so much to these children. It's just, I can't tell you the fulfillment. I mean, I have never lost any of that. And I really hope to go back in another couple of years because I know it's going to keep growing and growing. And then we also have another school in Kilimahiwa. And this is another sister, Fausta, who went to school at Benedictine, but she went later. And so she is the head principal for that school. And we are helping with that school as well. We just got a request. The sisters came in December. And one of the things that they needed so much is we needed to raise money and get money because the government has stepped in and said they are changing their curriculum. And in order to change the curriculum, they have to have new books. So the sisters have to have money to go out and buy the books because they have to be taught, the children in their school have to be taught and trained through the correct textbooks. So then we had to go through that. And then to see them when they were in and to share these women and give them some wonderful focus, it was the most wonderful Christmas present we could have.
Sounds nice. So what I'm kind of wondering as you kind of, obviously the passion about all the progress that you've seen on your trip, I guess it was 2023, and you're looking forward to going back in a few years and seeing the 3 schools and then the surgical center and now the X-ray center. I'm wondering what led you to this, like, where's this passion coming from? Of all the nonprofits in the world to support, why this one? What's your connection to these sisters?
Well, I'm an alum with the Benedictine Sisters from Benedictine University. I also go back many years to going when it was Sacred Heart Academy and St. Procopius Academy when we had that before Bennett came. So I've always had these sisters to be a part of my life. And when they come into your school and you're trying to help them, what more could you do than to see so many things that are squandered by people not taking what they should? And there's people that are grasping for what they could do to be able to go back and help their own people. So to be able to give of myself and for us to volunteer and then to go out and shake the bushes to try to raise funds and get people to recognize what is so important. Because you talk about back in the early days, wells at Sumbawanga at the school. You had to have wells for water, and you had to have the different dormitories built, and you had to have different things. I mean, this all takes a lot of energy and for building, and you've got to get, how else can we do this? And how can we get grants? And how can we get people willing to support us so that, okay, once the school was built, like in Sumbawanga, one of the things that was needed is we needed to build a wall around there. It has to have safety for these children going to school. You're talking about things that aren't always what we would like to see them to be. And so we had to raise money so that they could build the walls for safety for the children at the school.
Yeah. So speaking of fundraising, how is the fundraising going in this day and age?
Slow. It's when something happens, we keep going out and we keep saying, okay, we keep having certain resources, but you get to the point that some of our benefactors, I think, are kind of tapped out. They can only do so much. Yep. So it is very hard to get the word out there to say, okay, for education and healthcare, how can somebody donate to us? And we do have our Facebook page, and we do have a newsletter that we send out to our people that are either on email or hard copy. And it's just trying to keep reaching out and having other people who would know about it to pass it on to someone else, and trying to find people that are willing to do grants, because sometimes there's not always a way to say, okay, how can you get this? We have one board member who is also a retired faculty from Benedictine, and so she was in economics, Margaret Roth, And so she has had some of her students who have done very well, who she has asked to have for donations, and they have been most generous also. But like I say, it gets to the point that how can you still we need to stretch out. We need for other people to know that there is this wonderful area that people are looking to thrive. And we can do this, and you can help us to do this. Yeah. Because it never changes.
Well, it changes a little bit. I mean, you've made an impact with the fact that you've got 3 schools, an X-ray facility. You've got the boys' dorm now.
Right.
So yeah, don't say nothing changes. So I mean, I think you've made a tremendous.
Well, it changes to the point of I always have to keep asking because there's always growth that is happening at the schools.
Oh, sure, yeah, sure.
And at the medical center. So
I'm getting the sense that this is an all-volunteer organization. Is there any staff members in the organization, or is it all volunteer-led?
No, we're all volunteers. We all work together. I'm the president. We have a vice president, secretary, and treasurer that just keeps the books and everything, but there is no financial payout to anything. So we meet once a month, and I will be having a meeting on the 18th of February. And so that's how I got Michelle. When Michelle started to talk to me about you and what you could do, so then guess who I asked to join my board? Michelle.
Michelle, yeah, sure.
Because she's got adding to what we need. We need to have people on the board that are so willing to reach out and can touch other areas to get us to be able to raise the monies and to be able to get all of this done.
Sure. Outreach is very, very important. And Michelle's got that marketing background.
Yes.
So she will be a great asset to the board. So when you say volunteer-led organization and volunteer-run, for that matter, how many volunteers on average are you at in terms of capacity?
Right now we're at 14 because I just brought in 2 more. Michelle is one, and then the young woman who is administrative assistant over at Bennett Academy, because Bennett, who is the sister school for the high school at Imiliwaha, they have a junior board of Friends of Imiliwaha at Bennett Academy. So she's the overseer for that. So I have just had her. So then they're working with the students then at Bennett for them to do fundraising and to reach out to see about what they can do to help. And so I've asked her, she is also Claire Johnson. And so she's now a part of our board. So I keep reaching out, and well, part of the thing is, there's some of us that aren't getting any younger, so we need to bring the young blood in.
Well, succession planning is always important. You're right. For sure. That's my nice way of putting that, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to keep the engine running, so to speak.
Right. And then the outreach to meet other people. And whenever the sisters come in, we do try to have them also go over and meet over with the president over at Benedictine University, because they are alums, and then be able to share their story with students that are there now, and then have, because the students that are there now should know what is some of the legacy of the school that they are going to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It deepens their enrichment for sure.
Right.
And, okay. So my next question really was going to revolve around challenges, but it sounds like the biggest challenge you have right now is probably the fundraising.
Yes, because there is always something that comes up, because I just received a request from the one school, Kilimahiwa, that they need to have purified water, and they have to have this at the school. So then we were getting the machine. So when you're looking at what the cost is, then you have to be able to send that money. You have to have that money readily available, so then this can be purchased. And again, like I said to you, at the medical aspect of it, we're looking to raise money so that we can get a mammography machine. Yeah. We need to negotiate. And all of this is done so that it is. And the other thing is you have to understand, like at the medical center, the one doctor is paid for by the government. The other one has to be paid for by the sisters. So there's 2 doctors. We had to build 2 houses so the doctors that are there on that campus have a place to live. So you talk about, okay, what else do you need the money for? To build a house, to be able to do this. And it all takes a lot of trying to get the people, and the work is being done. And I have to tell you, just to go back to the very day when we were first building the medical center, and we went out, and the sisters, I believe they were the Franciscan sisters down in Springfield, and I'm hopefully either Franciscan or Dominicans, whatever, they were down there, and they had a center where they had hospital supplies. And what we did as beginning in our organization is we bought a huge cargo, and we had it filled with all the supplies that they could have furnished for us. We paid for electric beds, anything that you would need to help in a surgical center, in a hospital area. And all of this was sent on the big cargo. And we paid for this, and this was shipped over, and it took several months. And then to be able to see it arrive in Dar es Salaam off the ship, and then for Sister Beatrice to have to get a truck that we had to pay for the truck to load on the big cargo to drive over to Imiliwaha, which is a good distance, many, many hours, and then to be able to open the back of the cargo to be able to then put the supplies into the building and to see it being established and to be filled, so then it could be opened for the first time.
Wow, such challenges. Is it as expensive to get, say, a mammography machine over there as it would be here?
It's better to get it there because of the electrical, and then we have been dealing with I'm sorry, we have been dealing with we have been dealing with a certain company for these other equipment, and so we have Dick Lamb is on our board, and he has been the key person working with the different companies. And what we do is we negotiate a price, and then they have it come, and then they will come and install it. So that we also have, one of the sisters is an X-ray technician, because we had to know that there is somebody there that can run it. So she had gone through the training for the X-ray machine, and so that when they deliver the X-ray machine and set it up, then we had to find out, we need to get a generator, because you can't run all this. You're talking about power. So then we had to get a generator. So by purchasing it, everything there, and then we're very cognizant of negotiating prices, and that they then come and install it, and they can come out and follow up on it, because you've got to have your equipment to be followed up and checked on, and if there's any issues. So it's got to be somebody there that would be able to do that.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Well, I've learned quite a bit, and I think our listeners have too. Alice, is there any parting thoughts for our listeners out there?
Well, right now you've made me very emotional, and I really want to thank you for this opportunity. And I would ask anyone, just go on to friendsofimiliwaha.org and to see what we have and what we have. And I pray that all of you would be blessed and help us to keep blessing the people there in Tanzania.
There's a lot of good people that could use these services and have benefited from both the school and the education in English, no less, and then also the medical needs being addressed as well. and it sounds like you desperately need this mammography machine and some other things, including the generator and
Right.
lots of things. So there's lots of needs. So again, that website address is Friends of
Imiliwaha.org.
Okay, and we'll be sure to publish that link on our podcast page.
Okay.
Well, if you visit paulgregorymedia.com/podcast, it'll be printed on there, as well as all of the things that you can do will be broken down for you, and all of the highlights of this podcast. So thanks so much, Alice, for sharing the plight of Imiliwaha, or Friends of Imiliwaha, and sharing your passion for that, and just being, the do-gooder that this world needs, and leaving the world a better place.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Yes. Well, it's all about getting the word out, right?
Yes. God bless you.
Till next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Mission Matters podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.